First and foremost, I want to give all glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kadesh, and give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have humbly and sincerely taught me this truth, and Ruel and Shalom to the 144 hopeful elect and the 1/3 of Israel who sincerely and humbly follow the teachings of Yahweh Shai and keep the laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability. And to start, I'll be titling this lesson, Why Must We Still Follow the Laws? And to begin, most people think that just because Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Christ, died on the cross, that we do not need to follow the laws, which is false, as Yahweh Shai fulfilled the laws, but it was not done away with. As for without the law, we will not know what sin is. And to start, I'll be in Romans chapter 7, verse 7, where it states, "What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Yahweh forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law, for I had not known lust except the law had said, thou shalt not covet." So without the law, we would not know what sin was, as sin is the transgression of the law. But keeping the law, however, does not make us righteous, as it is the blood of Yahweh Shai that does. However, faith without works is dead. Now we go into Romans again in chapter 10, and I'll be reading verses 1 through 7. Brethren, my heart desire and prayer to the power of Israel is for that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of Yahweh, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of Yahweh's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of thy power. For Yahweh Shai is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth. Verse 5. For Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which doeth those things shall live by them. But the righteousness which is of faith speaketh on this wise, say not in thine heart, who shall ascend to heaven? That is, to bring Yahweh Shai down from above. Or who shall descend into the deep? That is, to bring Yahweh Shai again from the dead. And another verse to continue my point of why faith without works is dead will be in the book of James. And I'll be starting chapter 2. And I'll be reading from verse 14 through 22. And it says in verse 14, "What doeth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him?" Verse 15, "If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone." Verse 18, Ye a man say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works. Verse 19, Thou believest that there is one power that dwell the devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Verse 21. Was Abraham, our father, not justified by works when he had offered Isaac upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought his works, and by works was faith made perfect? So when you keep the law, you are striving to be perfect, and in a sense, you are just striving to be more mature in the faith and in the spirit when it says perfect. So to show your faith, you must have works as they go hand in hand. And the works is keeping the commandments of Yahweh. And to continue, I will be in Deuteronomy. And I'll be in chapter 6 and read verse 24 and 25. And he says, and the Lord Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our power, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our power, as he hath commanded us. So we are commanded to keep the commandments still. But what people do not know is that keeping the law can also bless you and keep you from evil. And I will be reading that in Proverbs. And I will be reading chapter 3, verse 1 through 7, which says, my son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck, write them upon the table of thine heart. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of our power and man. Trust in the Lord Yahweh with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear the Lord Yahweh, and depart from evil. So, keeping the laws can bless you, as he will add length unto your days and give you peace, and it will also keep you away from evil. Another verse to continue on with that will be Matthew, and I'll start in chapter 16 and read verse 27. And it says, for the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. So the works that you do, you shall be rewarded when Yahushua comes back. To continue, I will be reading Proverbs again. And I will read, now I'm in chapter 7. And I will read from verse 1 through 5. My son, and he says, my son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thy eye. So the law is to be important to us. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. Say unto wisdom, and wisdom is Yahushua. Thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. Verse 5. that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. So, following the law is wise, and going against it is wicked, and it shall bring death upon you if you decide to go against the law. And now I will be reading Psalms chapter 1, verse 1, where it says, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor seateth in the seat of the scornful. So when you keep the law, statutes, and commandments, you are to be pulled away from those who sin, as it will keep you away from evil, and it will put you in favor with the eyes of the Father Yahweh. To continue, I'll be going to Revelations, verse 14, and I'll read chapter 14, and I'll read verses 12 through 13, where it says, Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that kept the commandments of Yahweh our power, and the faith of Yahweh Shai. Verse 13, And I heard a voice from heaven say unto me, Right blessed are the dead which die in the Lord Yahweh from henceforth. Ye saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. So your works are what will follow you in the kingdom of heaven. Not your money, not what you have achieved in this life, but the works that you have done that have been done to please Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And to continue, I'll be going to Galatians chapter 6, and I'll be reading verses 8 through 9, where it says, For he that soweth to his flesh shall For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. So when you sow to the flesh, that means you are going against the law, and you are doing stuff of your own understanding. But when you sow to the Spirit, it means you are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and you will be rewarded with everlasting life. So, to just summarize, we must keep the laws as they were not done away with, and we are still commanded to do so. And that keeping the laws will keep us away from evil, and it'll put us in good favor in the eyes of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. I would like to apologize if I stumbled over my words, but I hope this was edifying. And again, giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakar Kadash. And please just keep the faith as diligently as you can, as that's what will follow you.